It has been nearly 100 races in Tier 2 since Tier 2 has seen the Zandvoort circuit, and now we're back for it almost 10 seasons later as well. Welcome along, folks. It is Ryan Searles alongside J&T Gaming tonight for our race in Zandvoort, where the championship can be won tonight. There's a lot of scenarios that need to happen, but we'll go through that a little bit later on. Either way, J&T, you're usually racing. You're alongside me tonight. You didn't feel so well. Glad to have you here, though.
Yeah, I wanted to be here for something. I don't want to just sit out of the whole thing. I'd rather be at least in the session.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm pretty sure we're getting short qualifying because of the lack of attendance. So, yeah, it will be a shorter weekend once again. With that being said, but welcome along, chat. Welcome along, stream. Welcome along, everybody. Here is the things we need to go over immediately. Headlines, changes, penalties. Blue Goggy has a race ban. He has got way too many penalty points and into way too many incidents throughout the first 9 races he's sitting out today. It's a home race for multiple drivers. Zatsy, JTK, the names continue to add on. Season 2, Round 5, the last Tier 2 Netherlands event. It's dry for qualifying. As for some other changes, let's go over Season 12 Tier 2 lineups that are getting figured out right now. Beatnik is full-time for Red Bull in Season 12, going to go for the championship for the first time in Tier 2. Mythic is full-time at Williams. He is downgrading a little bit in terms of the seat he's going to, but the last 3 seasons, with Season 10, 11, and then the third one will be Season 12 in a row. He'll be with AlphaTauri, Williams, and Haas, 3 of the worst cars in the game. Vivid is one of our new drivers racing. He was going to be Alfa Romeo full-time tonight. However, he has changed his contract to Formula Endurance and full-time there. Ardell is now a Merck Academy reserve. Welcome along to RPL, our second active Canadian driver in the league right now. JTK, Red Bull for tonight. Stenner on loan for Aston Martin. Sabolix, or Sabolx, however we're going to pronounce that, I have no clue. The Hungarian driver returns tonight for the first time since the ending races of Season 9. And FBL's Hail Melon is exactly why you saw a YouTube video with the circuit just a day ago, 24 hours ago this time in fact. There was a move in the F2 race where FBL recreated the Ross Chastain Hail Melon move in the 2022 NASCAR playoffs, where Ross Chastain, the NASCAR driver, wall rode the last corner to get into the next round of the playoffs and fight for a championship. Well, FBL did that on the last lap of the race, on the last corner, in the rain when it was drying down, and ended up doing that to get himself a first podium of the season at the time, but it was rescinded after Owen appealed. So J&T, we're starting laps right now, but if that race in F2, the last time we were here in Season 18 for F2, doesn't show you what drivers will do for a podium in the wet or the dry, I don't know what will.
Absolutely. I mean, this track, very unique in the sense that it has some banking. So you can get away with that in the wet because you don't really have grip down there. If you can wall ride, if you take the right line, that'd be pretty freaking crazy if we had that happen today.
We would need wet weather in order for that to happen. In terms of what the drivers are saying, I don't see any comments about wet weather for the race. We've got Ardell on a lap. Alex Norris has crashed out of the session. This is him and McLaren
No.
for tonight due to Polo God originally going to be coming back into the lineup, but McLaren need a driver for the sake of their Constructors' Championship hopes. 69 points back from Mercedes, who are leading it, over Ferrari and Red Bull. Mercedes' Ardell is coming to the line now. Teammates with Valk for tonight. To the line, 8-9 is the first lap set. Short qualifying for a second week in a row. J&T, you've done full qualifying for Tier 2. You've done short qualifying for FE. And you did short qualifying last week for the event, I believe, in Austria. What's the difference as a driver in terms of Tier 2 adapting to this kind of scenario?
It's definitely a mindset shift because you're not playing the long game. You're not saving tires really anymore. You're basically right out of the gate. You're pushing flat out with no really track acclimatization through the session, so you're kind of being thrown in the deep end right away, and that can trip some people up. Some people don't do as well right out of the gate as others, so it could change some stuff. You never know.
Very true. We got Invade on the lap. We'll go on board with him. Last week we got some criticism in terms of riding on board way too much with either back marker drivers or just riding on board with guys who are coming to the line right away in laps. What we're going to do is the first half of the session will be very random at that. That's why we're on board with Invade right now. And then the second half of the session, we're going to switch our sights to go to guys on laps who are going for pole position tonight. Similar to last week, 15 guys, therefore no full qualifying. Invade is now coming through the ending bits of Sector 2. This area will be very tricky to overtake. Not only will it be overtaking trickiness, it will be ERS saving. That will be tricky as well.
Oh
Invade is
yeah.
now coming through 48.7 through the second sector, and now the chicane. And then to the final couple of corners where FBL made the magic happen in F2.
You see the battery, it's already down. It's gonna probably drop to around maybe even in the 20%. This track is a battery killer as it even dips below 20%. That is, wow, this is gonna be a really tough race on battery, even just judging from qualifying.
It's like you have to use it for just a split second to turn it right off. That's how bad the battery is. And we're going to find out how bad the battery is as Searles, the Hungarian driver who returns to RPL tonight, is starting a lap now. Coming through that banking in the dry, it's flat out. In the wet, not so much. DRS applied on the run to turn 1. That battery on the main straight, just full percent usage, just used up 30% of that battery, and to turn 1 he goes. You don't want to use much of the curbing, but the curbing is not as heavy on the inside of turn 2, and same with turn 3. Turn 3, you said the banking earlier, J&T. Lots of variety of lines you can take here. Same with this section too, with some areas of the track, but just a very, very hot lap-like circuit we're finding out now with guys on laps. Guy getting out of the way in front of that, that's a Mercedes, but Bulks is now coming through halfway on the circuit to find out where he will be on the boards. Will it be up there, or will it be in the mid-pack around Invade and Mythic? That's about what the Alfa Romeo can do here.
Bulks, honestly, right now, he's using up pretty much all the track, pushing it pretty much as hard as you can push it around here. If you're not going 100%, you will not be fast around here. I've done some time trials. If you're not on it, you'll be 2-3 tenths slower than you otherwise would be.
Let's find out what he does for a lap time, and then we'll switch our sights to other drivers. He's going to be 6th fastest, so a really good lap in his return to RPL for Alfa Romeo. We've got Gecko at the top of the board, Bonkers second. That's exactly what they need to do today in order to keep the championship alive against this man, Owen McMorran, trying to go for a 4th RPL title. We'll go on board with the championship leader in a backmarker card to get you situated on that, on where he's at for the rest of the season in a Williams, part of the Merc Academy. The plan is, according to Wavy and Josh, which was going to be to move him up to Tier 1 once he's done with Tier 2, and once he clinches that title. He's 73 points ahead of Bonkers. Bonkers needs to lose over 5 points tonight if Owen wins the title. But also, it's not just down to Bonkers. Gecko is also in the mix as well, still available with a shot for the title. 85 points back for Gecko. Gecko needs to gain 8 points to stay alive on Owen. So Owen has to outperform Bonkers, whereas Gecko can outperform Owen, but it can't be by a lot. So interesting things we're looking toward in the championship. That was Invade almost getting hit in the background there, as you saw from Owens on board from a Ferrari of either Zatsi or Gecko sliding right there. But we're now riding on board with Owen. This Williams has got a podium around this circuit before. It happened with Jack Miles in the chaotic Tier 1 race here a couple seasons ago. So Owen very familiar with the circuit as well, and he would break a record today if he does clinch the championship. Including F1.5, Jack Miles has 3 championships in Tier 2. Including F1.5 as well, still with Owen. Owen has 3. He's won Season 4, 8, and 9. So he would win the most with F1.5 and Tier 2 combined today if he ends up doing so. We'll go over Constructors later, but Owen is now coming to the line and using everything he can.
Pretty good battery management out of him. Pretty tidy lap is going to put him P8, right, pretty much right with the Alpha of SCA Bulks. maybe
And
even a little bit
Gecko
slower
now.
than I expected him to go. Thought he'd
That's
maybe
very
pass,
true.
go, maybe thought he might have went ahead of the Alpha, but still not too bad.
Just shows what a good lap from the Alfa Romeo it was. Then Beatnik further on down. Stenner up in the mix, and Bonky is 4th right now for Red Bull. Gecko on a lap here. Ardell set it 2nd fastest. Zatsy set it 3rd fastest, and now his teammate is going faster in the 1st sector by just a couple of milliseconds. Gecko, your driver, J&T, and he has a chance to get 2nd in the championship here. I think 1st is very much out of reach, and even in Gecko's mind it is, but 2nd is a big possibility, and for Ferrari, 25 points back from the championship leaders Mercedes. It's not over yet at all.
No, definitely for the constructors, it's going to be Red Bull versus Ferrari, Mercedes. I just don't think they have the ammunition anymore with Owen and Williams. I don't think they can really stay up there. They've been losing points race after race, and Ferrari and Red Bull only 1 point apart. So it's going to be really tight between them, honestly.
Gecko coming to the line for Ferrari. Can he improve pole position? You bet he can. By a 10th, 8.5. He is faster than the competition. And Ferrari Zatsy took pole position last week. Gecko looking to do so for a 2nd time this season on top.
Ferrari, I drove around here on the Ferrari. It goes pretty well around this track. It's probably one of the most comfortable circuits, I'd say, for the Ferrari. It doesn't feel as weird as it does around some of the other circuits. So expect a lot out of these guys this race.
Beatnik is on a lap. He was the one who was right behind the FBL Hail Melon, and he got a very good view of it, which is why we were able to put it into 3 different clips on the YouTube with just a 90-second video. Beatnik is now going through the bank section of turn 3. He chooses the inside line to go, and then outside on the exit of the corner. What does the American driver do in terms of the 1st sector? He won last week. He's the only American in Tier 2 only in terms of stats. We don't include F1.5 with it. To win a race. And he won his 2nd last week in Austria. He is improving by a 10th. And J&T, I'm going to tell you right now, I think with where he's at on the timing charts, he definitely needs to improve still more.
Oh yeah, I think he can do a lot better than that. Obviously, defending race winner, he won in Austria, currently about 2.5 tenths up. I would put him 5th. I'd say he definitely needs to be closer to the Red Bulls if he wants to impress again this week.
Let's find out. He's coming to the line now with the DRS wide open, and he will go 5th fastest and improve a place. He improved by 3/10 and is just off of Bonky, who will be his teammate next season from the looks of things. And JTK, the home man here, who's trying to win his 1st race and took a 5th podium in Tier 2 last week, has taken provisional pole.
Absolutely
Wow.
smashes it, doesn't he?
We were not even close with seeing anything on a lap with him. My apologies for that. I want to try to get more pole laps, but we'll see if anyone can beat the man on top in his home race. And if there's a good chance for him to win his 1st race this weekend, it would be him. Zatsy is another one who could win his 1st race for Ferrari. He's on a lap now. We're watching him. Zatsy is one of 2 drivers this season to make every round. Gecko's the other one. The difference with Zatsy, though, that makes him special compared to Gecko is the fact that Zatsy's made the flag at the end of the race every week.
Big slide out of him through turn 3.
Yeah, that was
He almost
not
drifted
good.
through. But he keeps it going. I think he might have gotten through there okay. Now he's 10th down, but
Just a
he can
10th
still
down.
make that up.
He can, and he still has a chance to come in and get another lap in too, I'm pretty sure, if he times this right. Let's find
Owen,
out.
by the way, improved on a 2nd flying lap on the same set of tires. He went 8th fastest ahead of the Alfa Romeo with a 9.4.
Well, there you have it. Zatsy is in the final sector now in his home race. Let's see what the Netherlands driver can do. He's going to get a little bit of a slipstream here from the Alfa
way
Romeo,
wide.
but he invalidated. He needs to pit now if he wants to go for pole position.
Really unfortunate
Wow.
for him. I think
Yeah, it was.
having that lap
Valk.
done, he would have at least had 2/10 in the 1st sector as on his delta.
I agree. And it's good that he came in now, therefore he's a chance to improve it later on. Valk won here in F2 in Season 18. She is going to improve to 8th place, the only female driver to win in all of RPL's tiers. is 8th fastest and 16 thousandths off of Stenner, the Academy teammate. And that's the battle for second highest in the qualifying session between them. No one else out on track. So let's remind you of the constructor standings fully and of the events last week. We've got Mercedes, who are in front by 25 points over Ferrari. Red Bull is 1 point off of Ferrari. That's a 26-point gap from first to third. It's a three-team race. And with that said, McLaren, they're trying to make it a 4-team race. They are 69 nice points back from the championship lead of Mercedes. They need to shake and bake with Beatnik and Alex Norris today if they want to get in on the mix. Also, one other thing as well, we are in Canada for F1 this weekend. That will be a home race for Ardell and Minico. That will be tomorrow. And Formula Endurance on Sunday is in Brazil. That is Valkyrie's home track. So that will be nice for her to get the opportunity to race there this time and get redemption for the bad finishes she's had there in Tier 2 as of late when we've gone there the last 2 seasons. And before Owen gets going and on a lap, he is so lucky not to hit the wall right there. Just want to remind you of last week's races, folks. There was a timing glitch at the end of the Tier 2 race. The final podium results were Beatnik for McLaren winning, JTK second for Mercedes, and Hunted, a first podium of the season for McLaren, the Season 10 champion, has finally found a way back up there. McLaren double podium, Hunted won on track. F1 in France had Cookie win over Scyther and Reese, and Formula Endurance had Jack Miles for McLaren take home the victory over Luke Range and NRM KVS for Alfa Romeo on the podium. How about that? What a neat surprise. And we'll go on board with your driver now, JNT. I'll let you take over with Gecko on a lap. Turn 1, he goes through now.
Gecko, out of turn 1, you really want to try and avoid that curve. He clips it a little bit, but gets through. You really got to send it through here, take the inside line very, very early on the power, maybe even short shift to 4th through the banking of turn 3, and it looks like he gets through there very nicely. Let's see what the Delta says. He's only 1/10.5 up already in the first sector. You really got to take a very small lift through here. Absolutely beautiful, barely clipping the outside curb. You really got to just send it through the whole track. Enter on the outside. He goes a little bit wide, misses the apex a little bit, but I think he went through there okay. Let's see what the second sector split is. 2.5 tenths up. Does not use as much of the curve on entry there as he could have, but he gets a very nice exit very early on the power, and now through the final couple of corners onto the banking. Very nice through there. Running down the battery though. Let's see what this lap can be. It's going to be pretty fast. Can he go P1? Yes, he does.
Wow.
By 0.005 of a second over JTK.
JTK is back out on track, but there's a risk of him not making the checkered flag. On a lap is Bonkers. We'll watch him because he is the guy trying to make sure that Owen McMorran cannot win the championship today. Bonkers goes through turn 3 now for Red Bull. Now he's going to complete the ending bits of Sector 1. How does he take the line? He's got a car on the left side having to avoid him. And now in the first sector, he's 73 thousandths up. He's going to need more if he wants to beat Zatsi. And then Ardell. Doesn't look like it's anything for the top 2, but if he gets anything for third here, that's a sizable gap to start over Owen, sliding through the last couple bits of Sector 2. Now the last corner here of Sector 2, he is just looking fine through there, and if that slide was not bad enough, he should be 2 or more tenths up here. He is up by just only under a tenth. Now he comes through the final bits of the track, where it is time for Sector 3, the last braking zone here, and then flat out on the last corner of banking. And keeps it clean there, rear-wing open, no invalidations. Everyone's made the checker flag. We'll switch to JTK after that, but Bonkers will go 4th. Was not enough to
I saw
Ardell.
a lot of hesitation from him that lap. He really was under driving it a lot. There was a lot of parts where I thought maybe he could have just got more, and he didn't.
Let's see, checkered flag is waving. We've got a Mercedes crossing the line now. That is
Big slipstream from
that's
Zatsy on his lap.
Gecko and Zatsy checkered flag. Gecko gave Zatsy a slipstream to get 3rd fastest. Not enough there. The Aston comes next. That is Stenner. No improvement there. No improvement for Ardell. No one else is improving on their laps except for JTK, who can take a pole in his home race, and he can do it. JTK, by the way, has never sat on pole position in an RPL race before. He's been called up to Red Bull today because Citrix couldn't make it, and now going to Mercedes next
Missed
season
the apex.
on a new contract there. He's going to prove himself in his home race by going pole position for the first time ever. He's on pole, and he will do it at his home race. JTK, welcome to the Pole Winners Club in RPL. And it's at his home race, the best place to do it. 8-1.
That is a pretty awesome lap from him. I thought maybe a couple of mistakes would have set him back, but Red Bull, strength of it, just pulled through. And the homeboy's on pole.
The last time we were here in Zandvoort, in Tier 2, a Red Bull was on pole as well. And that meant a Red Bull went on to win the race, and we'll find out if that happens for this team once again. Wow. 78 thousandths over Gecko, so he found more time than Gecko right there to go pole position. And the two Dutchies, they're starting 1-3 right there. Interesting here if they can make it a 1-2 for their home nation. So JTK is on pole position, Gecko is second, Zatsy third, Ardell for Canada is fourth, but for Mercedes, more importantly, who are leading the constructors table, Bonkers fifth. You got Beatnik, Stenner, Valk, Sabulks, and Owen, the championship leader, rounding out the top 10. If Owen ended up finishing there, would not be enough to claim the title today. Outside the top 10, notable names such as Tadpole and Alex Norris, who are big name drivers starting outside the top 10 and having a chance to improve on their starting spots. The strategy around the circuit would include a soft hard, a medium hard, and a soft medium is likely, but it's more so a Hail Mary. We would more likely see, I think, a two-stop rather than a soft medium from most of our guys tonight. And pit stop loss is 18 seconds. ERS gain back is only 9%. You don't gain a lot back in the pit lane. I think it's obvious as to know why from our qualifying session if you were just here for that.
I think tire strategy is going to be a big variable in this race. I mean, you could pull the two-stop off. You could start softs. You could go to hards. Maybe you could do medium hards.
Oh.
Maybe if you're a Red Bull, you could go soft medium or medium soft. There's really a lot of options you have. Unless you're Ferrari, in which case you just have to be on the hard tire.
I agree with that. I mean, it sucks for Ferrari because their tire wear is so bad in this game.
Next game, it'll be better, probably. Maybe.
Can only hope.
I hope so. I want to drive a good car, please.
Hey, it's a good car, but it's not so great tire wear wise. So 36 laps among us tonight. By the way, just to recap you all for next week and future weeks for Tier 2, where the title can still be won: Imola, Portimao, and the finale at Vegas. Those are our final 3 races of the season. Make sure to follow at RPL Formula 1 to tune in for those and future ones. We're just waiting on the 5 red lights. We got some Sabulks support in chat. Let us know who you guys are supporting for tonight's event. Any predictions? Last call. And we're just waiting on the race. No rain.
Oh, I want to give predictions. Honestly, you got Red Bull up there, and you have 2 Ferraris. Now, it's a very similar situation, I'd say, to Silverstone, except you don't have a second Red Bull up there. So, what happened at Silverstone is that I think I jumped Citrix.
Hold on.
Oh, lights
Here we
out.
go. The return to Zandvoort is going to be underway. We've not been here in nearly 100 Tier 2 races. It's go! JTK gets off the line quite well. You can see Zatsy squirreling the tires as he goes through turn 1. And off the line, it wasn't so well, but Ardo will challenge him. Beatnik challenging Bonky side by side there. About 3 rows deep. The Aston of Stenner is clocking behind. And further on back, you have Valkyrie trying to go around the outside of Stenner, the Academy teammate. Side by side with Sabulks right here. And Owen for 9th place. The championship leaders making contact with him in his return. Alex Norris up a place. So far, a very quiet start and a clean one at that too.
Absolutely pretty uniform start there, although Bonkers was under pressure for a second from Beatnik. But pretty uniform start, I'd say, other than a little bit of contact between Owen and SCA books as Owen goes spinning in the corner he did in qualifying.
The day that the championship can be won by him, he is already facing trouble, and it looks like right now, based on things with Gecko second, Bonky fifth, the championship will go to Imola. But now JTK will lead lap 1. And this is how important and how good that pole lap was from him. The tier 1 pole time was an 8-1. JTK had an 8-1. He is absolutely finding new ways to improve, and Alex Norris heads to the pit lane to repair some lap 1 damage. The big winners on that start included Invade and Mythic, the two Haas's, making everything known right there from them on the race start.
Whoa, I was going to say battle for third, but Ardell, huge snap out of turn 3. He was pressuring Zatsi, but he almost went around out of that corner.
And let's find out what happens with Ardell in the challenge for third place, because he is now getting on Zatsi, who's lost DRS to Gecko, the teammate. And why is this important? Well, DRS is not online yet, but it will be next lap.
And that'll DRS would hugely help with battery, although Zatsi on the hard tires, I just don't think at this stage he has the pace to keep up with his teammate, or JTK is going to be really under fire from Ardell and Bonkers. As you just see him missing the apex, it just does not have the front grip that he needs.
Looks like a two-car breakaway for the race lead. Gecko is just trailing JTK by a little bit. JTK and Gecko both similar on the battery.
Zatsi
third place is up for grabs.
From Ardell.
Yep, you're right about that. Here is Zatsi and Ardell. Wheel-to-wheel combat for just a split second. DRS enabled. They're back to single-file racing for the time being. Further on back, Kipu and Mythic.
Way off, and he's around in turn 3.
Oh, no. I wonder if he got tagged right there.
I don't know. I mean, I saw him following Zatsi really closely. He might have had a snap, tried to apply too much throttle maybe, but I'm really surprised he saved that. Any other scenario, I think he would have been spinning into the barriers. Not once there, but twice. Really good for him, but not DNF.
While that was happening, Mythic and Kipu almost clipping the back of Mythic. And yeah, that is exactly the point right there with them two. When they were overtaking one another, Ardell was put that far back into 11th place outside the points. He will have to claw his way back up there if he wants to end up having a chance for a podium. We've not had a Canadian driver sit on podium in a while in RPL. It has been way, way too long in all tiers.
Another battle
for the race lead. Third as well. Red Bull versus Ferrari in different spots.
Gecko around the outside trying to get JTK, but JTK covers him off onto the curb. Riding really close to JTK. Now on the run to turn 3, he's going to try and maybe use the banking to go for a move, but he stays behind for now, as Bonkers also got Zatsi on the run down to turn 1 as well.
Impressive racing throughout the whole field so far on a circuit that is so tricky to overtake. It is insane how tricky it is to overtake here, and Alex Norris already setting his pace quite well. Fastest lap of the race, 15th right there. He pitted for soft tires after his lap 1 troubles.
I thought it was going to be a bit of a boring start to the race after lap 1, but it's proved otherwise, as we've had a little bit of drama happen already.
Ardell and Invade. This is for a point spot. He's going to try to reclaim a spot on the points. He's got the inside line. Invade will have the inside line for the next corner. He set himself up beautifully to defend. Invade has, and he will keep the place for right now. Invade holds on to 10th place, but Ardell wants it, and he wants it now. For the race lead, Gecko is closing, but there's not close enough of a move to be made for turn 1, but there is for 10th place. Ardell ducking out. He's going to make the move on the inside. He's going to hold the inside line quite well, and he edges out in front. Kipu also gets Mythic, but Kipu goes too deep in the process and right into the path of Owen. That may be looked at for a dangerous reentrance from Kipu right there, as he had himself in the gravel.
Owen is not having a fun time in that, Williams. He's on the soft tire. He spun. Probably not great rear tire wear, and now he's behind Kipu in the AlphaTauri. It almost got taken out as yellow flags, and Stenner is around from 6th. Again in that corner that Owen went around in.
Merck Academy is having trouble, and Stenner on loan, Owen for the championship, Ardell in his debut. What is happening here? By the way, we got a message from Minico in the Twitch chat mentioning Ardell hit the curb and just washed out with understeer. Would not be surprised if Minico, a good friend of Ardell, is engineering him for the event tonight.
Meanwhile,
first place, there's a battle. Third place, there's a battle, and now more
here
overtaking.
Comes
yes,
SCA Bulks trying in the Alfa Romeo to pass Valk in the Mercedes. Very impressive from him to even try and go for this move. As there's
Here
a
is
lot of
Ardell
stuff
as well
happening
making
back
the
in the
move, by the
back.
way.
Oh my god, almost 3 wide off of turn 1. Owen trying to get by Kipu and Mythic. Mythic now gets through on Kipu. A lot of jockeying back here between the Williams, the Hess, and the AlphaTauri.
3 of the worst cars in the game, in fact. Here is a run with Mythic and Kipu. I think there was a little bit of a tap from Kipu. Mythic, though, keeps himself intact. This is 13th and 12th and 14th place. And now Stenner trying to reclaw his way on Invade. He had a little bit of a moment behind Invade to where he couldn't get by. It looked like he could for a moment, but couldn't do it after that. Lap 6 of 36. We shouldn't see pit stops until the next 6 or so laps.
Right now we got a Red Bull and Ferrari in one DRS train, Red Bull and Ferrari in another DRS train. You got Beatnik kind of by himself, riding on his hard tires, pretty solidly in 5th.
Race lead was at stake for just a moment. Nothing made from it. Same for 3rd place. Now, Valk is getting challenged by turn 1. She's going to have the outside line. Bulks on the inside. Gets the move complete. And now further back, Stenner and Invade are going to go side by side. Invade used to race for this academy, so he knows quite well what the Aston braking can do. And he has to concede the place to Stenner. Stenner up a place. And also further back, Kipu and Mythic duking it out too. Everything is now back to single file racing once again around this circuit that's tough to pass on.
All right, lap 7. This is where the Ferrari tire wear should start kicking in. And I wonder if Gecko, as you see, he is about half a second back. He was running a bit closer to JTK before this. And now he might just be dropping back a little bit as the tires just are not holding on for him.
If there's a day where JTK can have a breakout performance, it's going to be this one. And there was a slide from one of the cars I just gone on board with from up in front. It may have been maybe Beatnik or anyone around that area who had a little bit of a slide, but everyone is still got a front wing intact and all okay here. Gecko on the main straight trying to pass JTK. He's not close enough. Zatsy's also still sticking behind Bonky. Everybody in the top 5 except for Bonkers has decent battery. We saw a move with Bulks and Valk for a second there. And no one else for the time being. Just a really sprung out race with the whole field. Looked like Austria at one point in the race. And even Texas and FE last week with the way this race is going currently. Sprung out.
Oh yeah, we got a
But still close somewhat.
The 3-car DRS train from Ardell down the Stenner. Could get a little bit dicey around here on the DRS straight. Might see some 3 wide. That'd be pretty fun.
Well, we've seen things we probably thought we wouldn't see. In the F2 race, we're going to keep mentioning it. Hail Melon recreated that move with FBL. It was on Mythic, by the way. We didn't ever mention who the move was done on. It was on Mythic for what ended up being P4. And right now, P4 is Zatsy, the home driver in this race. The Dutchies running 1 and 4 in tonight's event thus far. Everything looks fine, though, with everybody who's still within DRS of the cars in front. Now Gecko has a chance. He pulls the dummy. He pulls to the inside. He's late on the brakes. It's a late lunge. And it's a move for the race lead that gets him in front of JTK. Gecko is out front.
When Gecko went for the move and JTK tried to maybe go for the switchback, JTK hit the back of Gecko. I don't know if that's a little bit of damage for him or not, but there was contact between the 2 leaders.
And now JTK is still following him quite closely here through the ending bits of Sector 1 and the starting bits of Sector 2. It is not over from JTK before the pit stop cycles hit. And when they do, keep in mind the number 18. 18 seconds is the gap you need to realize if you're going for an undercut. You can be able to undercut the other drivers because of that. The first 12 drivers here on our board are within 18 seconds of the race leader.
this battle for the lead is definitely not over yet. Red Bull's straight line speed, I don't think Gecko is going to have much to defend with, especially after he went for the move on JTK. Although, if we go to the end of the straight, it's going to be a lot closer than I thought it would be. JTK down the inside, Gecko around the outside trying to defend. They're still side by side. This is going to get a little chaotic, but Gecko smartly backs out.
Looks like a mistake at turn 1 on the exit curb allowed JTK to get through on Gecko. And right now, lap 10 out of 36, so we're almost a third of the way through. This race is going by quite quickly, to say the least.
Oh yeah. Bulks, Valk, still running fairly close together. I think Bulks is probably just being dragged along right now. But he seems pretty lively in that Alpha. Almost made a move on her through turn 3 as she went a little wide.
Still got DRS trains all the way from 8th on back to 10th, 11th to 13th, and then the 2-car breakaways from 1st and 2nd and 3rd and 4th. So lots of action here tonight. Not a lot of passing, though, from it, but lots of action nonetheless with guys running close to one another. And Gecko is not close enough at all for an overtake on the run toward turn 1. He may have used a bit of battery because he's now way below JTK in terms of that battery. You can see a little bit. These guys have used it. 3rd place, Zatsy on Bonkers. Not close enough for a move to be made here. Zatsy playing the long game here on Bonkers.
Not too much going on right now. I think they're just saving their stuff. Not trying to do too much early in the race, although Owen has got by Invade. It's for 11th. Not in a points position, though.
Let's find out in terms of what those guys can do if anything chaotic happens in the race. Last week in Austria, we had some guys score points based on chaotic stuff in the midfield. You got guys like Redfire Tiger who are causing chaos and making moves. Blue Goggy was back there. He got himself into an incident with Alex Norris and got himself a race ban. Invade was one that was mixing things up with the top 5 originally, then put himself back there after a mistake, kind of out of his doing in a way. And now the gap for the race lead is closing once again, JNT. It is 3/10 with your driver Gecko on the charge once again. DRS applied. Here he comes. He has the move. Waiting on his wings toward turn 1. He's in the substream. Now he pulls to the right side this time. Not indecisive about this move. He will take the race lead with ease. But did he go too deep at turn 1? Therefore, JTK can make a cutback? No. Zatsy also takes the place 2 for 3rd place. Both Ferraris up 1 place in the span of 30 seconds.
Zatsy around. Tap by Bonkers. He
No!
slid a bit. Zatsy slid a bit off the exit. Had a bit of a snap of oversteer, and Bonkers not enough time to react, and that tapped Zatsy around. That is heartbreaking for Zatsy, as he was on a 100% battery, really, and just in such a good position, and now it all comes undone.
He must have been saving that battery, holding behind Bonky, and then now he went for it, and then it cost him in the process. Kinda no fault of his own if he got spun by Bonky right there, but Valk up to 5th from it, beat Nick to 4th, and Sabulks for Alfa Romeo. Running P6, good run for them. Stenner slides. Tadpole and him were side by side at the first end of the track. Now to the ending bit of the track, they're going to go side by side again. Tadpole this time trying for a cutback. Stenner holding on, and Stenner does not have the DRS this time because he fell out of that train with that slide, and Tadpole will have to stay behind.
JTK DRS on Gecko. Will he go for a move?
That got a little dicey. That was
a really racy
Gecko, I would say. Just a little.
It's a very racy Zatsy. I don't know if he got damaged or not when he went around. He may have tapped the wall, but he is in for, I'm guessing, the medium tire. Yes, he is.
I would assume, by the way he hit the wall, that it would have been damage to his front wing.
He didn't take a wing change, though.
Oh, well, all right then. Good to know. But his teammate Gecko is leading the race. JTK is also 2nd. Both of them have never won a Tier 2 race in RPL, and we've got more drivers in here. Or sorry, more people in chat supporting some drivers in here. Got people supporting Invade. He's in a battle for 10th place with Owen and Kibu right now. But as I was saying about Gecko and JTK, both have a total of, I think, combined 9 podiums in Tier 2. but no wins to their name. JTK 5 podiums, Gecko 4. So looking for their first victories in Tier 2. Gecko's won in Tier 1. JTK's not even won in the whole of RPL. He's raced Tier 1, he's raced Tier 2, he's raced FE, I believe, once, and he's raced F2. So looking for a first victory tonight. It's possible, but he is right on the back of Gecko once again.
These two just really, really aggressive. JTK, by the way, the last time he tried to go for the overtake, he tried the same thing as the time before, and he tapped the back of Gecko again. So, what happened? What's happening?
Invade almost clipped Owen. He had to back out there, else there was going to be a collision. Smart move from Invade. Zatsy pits again. And it's because they didn't repair his front wing the first time, JNT. That's what you're talking about as to why they didn't repair the front wing. And he's about to go a lap down if he doesn't get this move done, or this move with the front wing done quick.
That is heartbreaking for him. He was in such a good position. Tapped around in the game. Just didn't tick that front wing repair to yes. And if you forget to do that, game screws you over.
Sometimes it's your fault for not clicking yes and you have it on auto, or sometimes it will do it on its own. The race lead is
again,
on its own right now. Here he comes to the inside. JTK from a little bit of the ways back takes the lead of the race once again, and he's back out in front, reclaiming that top spot.
Oh, they're almost training each other a little bit, aren't they? I mean, they're pulling away from Bonkers. I don't know if that's on pace or just training each other. They're both pretty much equal on pace, I'd say. Gecko's really not going away in the middle sector whenever he's behind.
They've been quite elbows out since the start of the race, them two have. So is Bonky when he was in that battle with Zatsy, and also Valken Sabolks. Also as well, this battle for 10th place, which is a 3-car battle. Owen on the worst tires probably here because he's on softs. He started on softs, and Vade and Kipu are on mediums. And I'd assume at this point, Owen and Alex Norris will be pitting soon with the tires that they are on.
I probably should have clipped that.
All right, well, you clip that. We got a battle for the race lead
No,
still
I probably
brewing.
should have clipped when Zatsy got spun. That probably would have been
Yeah, maybe.
smart. Oh, well.
Could go back 5 minutes and clip it, I think, right? Gecko for the race lead once again. Cannot get close enough by turn 1, but someone who is closing by turn 1 right now is the Alfa Romeo driver. And he's not close enough yet. Alfa Romeo this season, 1 podium with Gecko. You know,
meanwhile,
speaking
of Alfa Romeo, he's going for the move on Valk for P5, and he does it, gets it done. Pretty opportune move from him. Valk tries to get position back, but she just cannot find the room, and that is the Alpha through to 5th.
I was just going to say, them returning to the podium this season with Gecko, and the first time this game cycle for Tier 2 specifically, it shows they have a car that can contend up there at certain tracks, and this is one of them as he did take 5th place. Pitting is Owen. Pitting is Alex Norris. So some changes right there. Gecko and JTK, though, could be pitting very soon. With that being said, since those guys were in first, the medium tires around the circuit at most go to 20 to 24 laps, but considering how much that Ferrari is wearing of Gecko, you might want to be in there.
It's Tadpole again in the same corner. He's lost his front wing. Virtual safety car is out, and I believe these guys will all come in as it pretty much is on their pit lap. JTK 5 seconds for speeding under the VSC. That is just incredible.
Is absolute heartbreak for him. The home driver has absolutely cost himself a chance at victory.
I cannot believe he just did that.
Everybody's in, by the way. Everybody has pitted under this VSC.
The back
the perfect time to take advantage. Well, it's a Merc double stack, a Red Bull double stack, which makes it worse for Bonky. Invade also speeds.
5 second. Invade. These guys, wow, I'm very shocked that 2 5-second time penalties under the VSC were just handed out. That's really crazy.
We'll see what the penalties look like after the VSC ends, and we'll end up seeing as well if anyone gets any drive-thrus. But yeah, literally, like I said, the whole field right here basically into the pits. Owen on Tadpole under the VSC because of
drive-through.
Yup. Tadpole also was pitted, and that's why we didn't see that. But yes, Valk drive-through. Sorry to cut in. Unfortunate for 6th place runner in this
Three,
race.
wow, 3 big penalties under that VSC. That is
And
just,
Vade, who
wow.
had a chance for points. Valk, who had a chance for a top 5 finish now, gone. And JTK, for a win, might just be another 2nd place finish. Coming up a bridesmaid once again. I can't believe that. Now this is the time for him to use the battery, and he's doing just that. He's doing just that to try to pull away. He used it for a second. Gecko's in DRS to try to make sure he doesn't pull away. And yeah, absolute heartbreak there. I really have to feel bad for him, but also at the same time, don't speed.
Oh, Zatsy slowed down out of the pits. He's gone a lap down. He's trying to let Gecko and JTK by. Doesn't want to hold them up. Lap down for Zatsy. His race is pretty much over.
Heartbreak for him. Valk got Bulks. Also, Invade, Kippu, and Mythic. Mythic is in. We'll switch off the penalty so you can see who's pitted. And Mythic was the one yet to pit. He's now pit after the VSC, maybe in hopes for it being upgraded to a full safety car. Invade and Kippu was a battle on the front straight, by the way, that we just missed. Invade now would be outside the points if this race were to end because of that 5-second penalty. So yeah, heartbreak for JTK, heartbreak for Zatsy.
Wow, that is just crazy to me. 3 penalties, yellow flags, and that's Stenner again in the same corner that he spun earlier where Tad spun, and he spins again and loses his front wing. VSC
and that's
out
a
once
VSC.
again. 4 spins this race in that same corner.
When you say it's tricky on traction or your rear brakes, I mean, you can rear lock there easily, I'd assume. This time it's not upgraded to a full safety car, but if you didn't pit under the first virtual safety car, which everybody did, now would have been a good time if you were staying out.
This is just... I can't believe they can't get through that corner.
And Mythic's got a drive-through.
That drive-throughs.
Is also going to cost Valk because Stenner pits.
And Stenner pits and retires in the pits.
I was just going to say about Valk, by the way, it's going to cost her because if she doesn't come in this lap during the drive-through, she could be disqualified by the game because it put out another VSC, causing her to have to go another lap.
She's gonna have to come in. It's gonna pretty much take any chance out of her getting any better than maybe P7. I don't know how far up she can get. She is on the medium tires, so she will have the tire advantage for a little while.
Crazy enough, I do think this invites Zatsy back in because if this is a safety car, he is right behind JTK and Gecko battling for the race lead. They can pit. Zatsy gets his lap back and then can have a chance at getting guys who are going to be back there because of drive-thrus and issues such as Alex Norris, Valk, and it will be Mythic back there too. So Zatsy's not out of this race entirely at all. Just keep that in mind. He needs the 2 leaders to pit if there is a safety car. Or he needs to have these 2 battle and he can unlap himself.
Battle in turn 1, Owen side by side with Kippu trying to make the move, and he does. Good overtake from Owen there. Very opportune move.
Yeah, it's not over yet at all because Kippu's going to have the slipstream here on the run toward the ending bit of Sector 1. It would be ambitious to go for a move here, but you follow the other car and then go for a move later on where that area where everyone's been rear locking and messing up. Can we see a driver mistake allowing Kippu to go by? No. Now we can on the exit. Kippu alongside now, the long way around while Gecko takes the fastest lap. Here comes Kippu holding his own. Couldn't do it. Behind that, Alex Norris and Mythic battle it out. Alex Norris can't take the place, but now Kippu is still trying to take the place over Owen, and he can't do it. Owen would have net P7 right now, based on the fact that Invade has a 5-second time penalty to his name.
That's a pretty bad 5-second for him. He's 7th on track right now in a Haas. That'd be a great result for him, but unfortunately with that penalty, he would probably drop down to about 10th place right now.
I absolutely agree with you. And now, once again, Invade has been overtaken, and now he goes off in the gravel.
He hits that curve.
And he re-enters right in front of Kipu. That is where Tadpole DNF'd in Tier 1, and now Mythic is into the pit lane to serve his drive-through.
He hit that curve that Ardell allegedly hit earlier. It was not as bad for him, but that's a pretty dangerous curve as we've learned.
It's still unfortunate because it's going to cost him time, and it's just even worse by having the 5-second time penalty with it. Battle for the lead once again. Invade, with that 5-second time penalty, by the way, is now about to drop out of DRS of Kipu, but Gecko holding his own and not close enough for a move at all here. And Zatsi, by the way, I think because he's gained a lot of speed, he's now, or not gained a lot of speed, because he's a lap down, he's now inside of Bonky and having to concede that right there. Can't ghost inside of another car. That'd be very distracting. Now Valk is trying to get a point spot over Invade on track. Valk has a point spot already, but trying to get one more, and one-ups Invade by getting the place. That is already going to be P9 for her with the penalty applied, but she at least makes the job much more easier for her by getting it on track, and now chases after Kipu after her drive-through. She still has a chance for points herself.
Personal best for her that last lap by 3/10. She is pushing extremely hard, driving with a vengeance here after that penalty.
Oh, whoa.
Wow, almost
Around the outside.
Tries to
Hold
go
on.
around the outside.
She could pull that
Very
off.
impressive if she could pull it off.
That would have been amazing, but she couldn't right there. Not close enough. The lead is close as well, but no moves
wow,
into turn
down
one.
the inside though. What an unconventional place to overtake. That was extremely impressive from Valk.
Yes, it was.
Kipu off guard, got the move done. That was pretty cool right there from Valk.
I couldn't believe that. That was an unconventional place, as you said, and you know what? If I were to make a statement, if I've seen any female drivers in league racing, and I'd have to rank the best to the worst, I would put Valk up there at number one of the ones I've commentated and raced with. I have to say, very impressive right there, that move. Not seen a good move from Valk in a long while, but her racecraft has got better as of recent. It's just the pace needs to be there, and right now the pace is there with that nice racecraft. The next target is Owen, P7. It's still not over to get herself back in a P5 if there is a late race safety car, but yeah, here goes Gecko once again close to the race lead, and they would have had DRS on the Haas of Mythic, but Mythic let them go.
I think if you're Gecko, you just want to sit behind. Don't want to cause too much drama. Last in Great Britain, he won on track, but because of a penalty, he didn't get the win. And now he's might want to take advantage of something that he got bit by just a couple of races ago. That'd be pretty cool for him to get redemption like that.
I agree, and Gecko, just like JTK, both looking to win their first Tier 2 races. Bonky as well doing just enough over Owen right now. Owen would be scoring a total of, what, 6 points right now? Whereas Bonky scores 15. The championship will go to Imola as of the current moment. And as for our constructors table, well, Ferrari is going to take a big chunk of points out of Mercedes' lead because of what has happened with Ardell and Valk. I know Zatsi is back there, but he can steal the fastest lap away from somebody. Gecko is right now winning the race with penalties applied. And as for Red Bull, well, they got their cars 1-3 on track, which will end up being 2-3 by the end of this, and they're only 26 points back. And right now, it might be enough to just take the race, the championship lead here with just a couple rounds remaining. DRS applied now, overtake button also on Gecko's mind. He used it a little bit there in the banking, not on the main straight. Is he close enough for a move? Does he go from a long ways back? He does not, but he almost hit him there at turn 1 right there from just following him.
Turn 1 can get pretty sketchy. It's a really weird turn 1. It's tight entry. And you got that huge curb off. I think it filters into that corner with that curve that's really deadly. It's just a very weird set of corners, I'd say, in my opinion.
I would agree with you on that one. Here's a battle on the main straight. It is Kipu and Valk. Valk has not been able to get Kipu out of DRS, but Valk has closed that gap on Owen by about a 1/10. So Valk and a Mercedes, you'd expect her to gain on Owen and a Williams, but that has not been the case thus far to what she would have wanted. And by the way, shout out to Subulks on the RPL return, up 4 places from where he started. A good candidate for driver of the day later on.
Absolutely. He is driving a great race. Was battling with Valk. And then
The
obviously she
lead
got
is at
that drive
stake. The
through.
lead. Hold on. Gecko, I thought he would have closed in a little bit more, but he backed off at turn 1 to save battery. He must know that JTK has 10% more in the battery. Sorry, JNT. Go ahead.
I think he's just sitting behind because he has that penalty. He doesn't want to take, I don't think, any risks. If I was him, I'd sit behind here too because he's been able to keep up with JTK pretty much through the whole race. I don't think he wants to chance it.
Well, I mean, I would not rule out the fact that he could get Bonky into 5 seconds here. And yes, he'd cost himself, but he'd help the team in constructor's sake here by getting Bonky toward Gecko. But it'd be Sergio Perez type of style with how much he'd have to back him up. But just to remember, I don't think that's in JTK's mind at all. He's going to be doing this for himself on track because he can force Gecko into unforced territory and unforced errors because... I mean, if Gecko's got any warnings, if Gecko has, obviously, worse tire wear, win that Ferrari, which I'm sure he does, you get Gecko in some uncomfortable spots, it's not going to be to your liking. And just remember, guys, JTK is not returning to the Red Bull Academy after the end of this season. So, Blue Goggy did bring up a good point later, or earlier on in the chat for us to mention later, like now, that Cryptic has some explaining to do as to why he dropped JTK. I think that is a fair point. Very fair point, actually. Kipu and Valk, 8th place once again. This battle is never ending between these two. It's been a nice little scrap here, but no moves being made there. And Owen is continuing to pull away from Valk. So, whatever confidence Valk had when she got by Kipu, I guess she used it all up.
Watching this gap between Ardell and SCA Bulks, it's coming down. It's about 3 seconds right now. I'm wondering if in these last 10 laps, if he can close that gap and maybe take that position off him.
Well, I will say, in terms of our race highlights, we probably won't have a lot to put together because it has been one of those races where, like I said, you were wondering why, if you're one of the viewers in chat wondering why I said it was sprung out at the start, this is exactly why. You'd think it'd get better after the strategies, but it just didn't. And Gecko is still not close enough to make a move. If he wanted to go late in the braking zone, he could, but he didn't. He knows there's a penalty for a race leader, JTK. He may try to move late on in the race in case he does appeal it. But not now.
I don't think you can appeal a speeding penalty.
Well, if the 5-second penalty that he got for speeding was with him 1 mile per hour under and the game messed with him, then I'd understand it being appealed. It has happened before to where that is the case.
This is going to get pretty maybe tight up here. Beatnik on the softs. Behind now the Mercedes and the Alpha. Sorry for interrupting, but that was a big point.
He could be going for, what, P4 on the charge now? Lot on the cards for him. And Tadpole is close to Invade for a point spot. Invade looking to return to the points, but right now with that 5-second penalty, he's put himself in a very sloppy position because of it. And now Gecko's a lot closer to our race leader. Is this the chance that he goes for it on lap 28 out of 36? Here he comes in the slipstream. Now he pulls out to the inside. JTK has the penalty. He's been leading on track even with it for the longest time, but Gecko reclaims the top spot. Gecko is into the race lead and trying to win a first tier 2 race once again.
Pretty shocking, I think, that he made that move. I guess he didn't want to sit behind too long, maybe.
Well, like I said, what if that penalty gets appealed? What if it was, what? Let's say the pit lane speed is 50 miles per hour, right? I think it's 50. Let's say he went 49, or he went right on 50, you know, and he got nabbed for it. That's the exact point to make.
This game does some weird stuff sometimes.
Does happen. The game registers it very weirdly, so, yeah.
VSC, and I think that is for literally no reason.
Let's find out who has damage.
It could be Invade, maybe.
Might be Invade. He's going to the pit lane now. Is he repairing a front wing?
Yes, he is repairing a front wing.
Yup,
so Invade
that is the cause. Alex Norris speeds. This could get upgraded to a full safety car if anything happens under the VSC. We saw that happen, I believe, either last week in Formula Endurance or recently, but JTK is going
Into
in.
the pits.
This is interesting. Why not try something different to your race leader, Gecko, and then see if you can beat him on pace?
This is smart from him because he won't be losing, I don't think, the spot to Bonkers, and he serves his penalty. So if he gets back up to Gecko, he could still win this race.
Fair point.
Although
Fair
we
point.
are back under green, and he's still in the pits.
Bonky does get him, because when this VSC ended, you would have thought he'd be ahead, but he wasn't because the time ended. However, if there's a safety car, J&T, like I was mentioning, we've used up 3 VSCs. We still have 2 or 3 more available to be used, either as VSCs or safety cars. JTK is in prime position here, and you're basically forcing Gecko to pit. The only thing Gecko would have because of that, though, is the track position.
I think this is smart from JTK, even if it doesn't, because he could take the fastest lap off of Gecko. I think he has it. And he could still finish P2 in this race.
Yeah, Gecko does have it. You're right. Fair point there. I mean, Gecko's really controlled this race quite well after JTK has had that penalty. He controlled himself quite well sticking in behind. And Ferrari, by the way, they've not won a race this season as far as I'm aware. It's Merc with 5 wins, Red Bull with 2, McLaren with 2. I mean, they've gone how many seasons in a row now since their car's been good again? They've gone what? All the way since the beginning of Season 3 with race victories. Even when their car wasn't so great, they've won races since then. They've won races in 8 consecutive seasons, trying to make it 9. The only other team that's close to that is Red Bull. They've won in every season, and Ferrari haven't seen the top step of the podium here in quite a bit. And it's been, I think, since Lennon did it in Mexico last season, round 10, and round 10 this season. It could be Gecko for a first victory, and Lennon was our last first-time winner. Gecko's not won in Tier 2 at all. He's won in Tier 1. He's won in FE. I think he definitely won an F1.5 once, but that's not Tier 2. Well, it was Tier 2 before Tier 2, but in terms of the way RPL counts the stats, it's not Tier 2. I know it sounds confusing to those of you, but F1.5 was Tier 2 before Tier 2. And as for F2, I don't think that he's won an F2. I mean, I could double check, but Gecko could be doing it today. And Alex Norris, fastest laps, doing it from Gecko.
JTK is about to probably smash that in the Red Bull. He has DRS off the Haas. Wing damage! Wing damage! Bonkers hit the wall!
That brought out a VSC, and he's into the pit lane. He could be costing himself at a potential podium where it could be going to Alfa Romeo Sebulks on his return if he can just hold on when Bonky comes out of the pits to repair it.
I wouldn't be so sure. I wouldn't be so sure.
That is so massive.
It is massive. You're right. That is pretty massive. But I will say, Ardell and Beatnik have been closing. Beatnik's been closing to Ardell, who's been closing on Bulks. This could really heat up in these closing laps.
This race was getting boring. This race was really getting boring. And now
Bonkers
is
is also there.
Yeah, exactly. And JTK is in prime position here to put Gecko into the pit lane to go for fastest lap again. But the thing is, though, do you even risk that at this point? Drive through!
Oh,
no!
Drive through!
From Bulks! Oh my god! Absolute heartbreak! Oh my gosh! And now, the nation Canada could be returning to the podium with Ardell right now, who will take that place once he serves the drive-through. He sped under the safety car, Bulks did, and that is costly.
He's going to be kicking himself for that one. Absolutely heartbreaking.
Oh my god, I cannot believe that. You just have a chance to hold on, and you're trying to get the upper edge on Ardell, and Ardell says, "See you later. I'm sorry, kid."
That is the saddest thing I've seen this week.
Oh. Beatnik has a chance. Bonky has a chance to take the podium from Ardell. Merc are looking for a first Tier 1 podium for the nation Canada and RPL with Minico. Minico's moved up to Merc, and Minico, I believe, if you're in chat, I think you're race engineer Ardell here, I believe, if I'm correct. As far as I know. Them two good friends, both Canadians. And as far as I'm aware, I don't think we've had a Canadian podium in Tier 2. I mean, I could be wrong, but none this game cycle, that's for sure. We could be seeing a
Meanwhile,
first
oh
podium
yeah. Keep going. I'm sorry.
from them. Nah, from them in Tier 2, sorry. That's all I was just going to say. From them in Tier 2. Go ahead. You're good.
Meanwhile, Owen has somehow finessed his way back up into P6. I don't know what that would do for the championship, if that would end it, but he would somehow back up in 6th place. I would give him driver of the day for this. He was in last on lap 1.
Yeah. This does deserve driver of the day. You got a point. I'd give it to Gecko or him at this rate. Even maybe Ardell. Those are the 3 contenders now because Bulk's costed himself with that drive-through. And here comes Bonky on Beatnik. Bonky on Beatnik. And he says, see you later. Up to P4. I'm going to chase after Ardell, not you. And now Bulks tries to get Valk for what is going to be P7.
Cannot believe that he got a drive.
Either. I can't. I don't know how. You just mess it up so badly. And it's unfortunate. He actually gets in a chance to prove himself here. And it just comes crashing down. Unfortunate, but like I said with JTK earlier, guys, just don't speed under the, under the safety car or the VSC or even in the pit lane. Just don't. This is what happens. The battle for the podium.
It's very much heated up.
Yeah.
Although, Bonkers might pretty easily get Ardell.
I'm just checking here, by the way, with podiums from nations. You can continue covering the battle for P3 because it's heating up. But I'll check it.
Bonkers into the slipstream of Ardell, and this should be a pretty easy move down into turn 1. Will Ardell continue fighting it? No, he won't. He can't. Does not have the tires, and that is Bonkers up, back into the podium. And that damage, that hit into the wall, that blunder, it will not cost him. He will still be on this podium, most likely.
Absolutely insane how that happens. That gap that he had. That is insane. Just a reminder, folks, we're about to reach the final lap, but this week we continue racing in FEN Sunday in Brazil, and tomorrow for F1 in Canada. The final lap for Gecko, trying to win a first Tier 2 race. He's just 2 miles away. And the battle for P3 is still not over because you have Ardell in DRS. Beatnik is there as well. Bulks is there with Valk for P7. It's still not over.
It's been a long time coming for this. He's been in contention for multiple victories this season.
You would think he'd won in Tier 2 before he won in Tier 1, but it's not been the case for him at all.
Been screwed out of so much adversity. It's been frustrating for him to have to just see all these wins slip away at the most unopportune times, whether that be damage, penalties, safety cars as Bulks around the outside of Valk, and he gets P7 from Valk.
We'll go to our race leader then, JNT.
As Gecko
your driver
comes out.
Gecko is now in the final sector, JNT. It's time for a Tier 2 first victory to now be in Gecko's name. Ferrari
First
have won
career
9 straight
win.
seasons,
Gecko
and now
wins
Gecko
at
wins
Zandvoort.
for the first time. Gecko does it in Zandvoort. For the first time, he is a race winner in Tier 2. JTK in his home race comes home second. Heartbreak for him. It was not enough. He just comes up as a bridesmaid once again. And Bonky for Red Bull is going to make it a 2-3 here. Bonky and Gecko's performances make the championship. Go on to Imola.
For 4th, Beatnik slipstream on
Drag
Ardell,
race!
coming to the
Drag
line,
race!
and Beatnik 4th gets Ardell on the line.
29 thousandths in that race for 4th. Ardell on debut is 5th, and Owen, P6. He will... Oh, Bulks almost crashed out there. That was a little scary from him. But Owen, P6 for Williams. This finish will help him secure the championship possibly next week. Bulks, Valk, Kipu for AlphaTauri, and Tadpole round out the points. Is that trying for fastest lap?
Incredible.
Does he do it, though? No.
No.
That's your answer.
Hell yeah.
Gecko wins for the first time in Tier 2, becoming winner number 36, and the game is given Owen driver of the day, and I think that's fair to say. I would give it to him, either him or Gecko. But I'm gonna give it to Owen. Just the recovery, you know, from being almost last at one point, that Williams should not be in P6 at all. That Williams is a terrible car. And Gecko, you know, I know he kept it out of trouble. And I know he may have got a little lucky when it happened with JTK there, but luck is needed to go your way sometimes. And he has had that happen for him today. Gecko's won in F1.5 before. He's won in FE, and now he's also won in F1 as well with Ferrari, I believe. And now he's a race winner with Ferrari in Tier 2. Just waiting to do so here, and now he's done it. First victory is his. And it's a double Red Bull podium, meaning they may take the championship lead over Mercedes now.
I believe they will. Maybe, possibly.
If they don't, it's going to be very, very close. I think it is going to be Red Bulls by 3 to 4 points. Here's your final results, folks. Only 2 drivers who finished the race on the lead lap got penalties. Only 10 drivers finished the race on the lead lap. And here's the results once more. Gecko, JTK, Bonky, your podium. And the final results as well from outside the points. Stenner, your only DNF from tonight's event. Unfortunate for him. But, you know, in any category of RPL racing, we've had 1 DNF 2 weeks in a row. Happened in Tier 1 last week, and it happened this week in Tier 2. But at the expense of getting no DNFs, we had 4 virtual safety cars and no safety cars in the process. It's insane. How do you have that happen in France and Zandvoort? Zandvoort being a little bit trickier because it's easier to crash out here, whereas France, it makes more sense. But in terms of the way the Tier 1 grid has gotten, no surprise there. Insane racing, JNT. Any last-minute thoughts, and who would you give driver of the day to?
My driver of the day, we saw Bulks. He would have got it, but I think because of that drive-through, I got to give it to Owen. Last on lap 1, even if we're talking about someone as fast as him, coming back to 6th in a Williams from last, I can't give it to anyone else. I got to give it to him.
Fair enough, honestly. Fair enough. So our remaining races for Tier 2 this season include Imola, Portimao, and Vegas. Imola we were at in Season 9, and there was a very shocking podium there. It was a Red Bull, a Haas, and an AlphaTauri on the podium in that race. We also went there recently in F1, so there's some more recent chemistry we are familiar with that circuit in terms of what to expect. Then Portimao we returned to, first time this game cycle, for any tier except for F2 and FE. And Vegas, we go to for the finale. The championship can be won by Owen next week in Imola. The gap between Bonkers and him now, Owen scored what, 6th place finish, right?
Yeah,
JNT?
that is 8 points.
And Bonky gained, what was it? He gained
15.
7 on Owen?
Yep.
7 on Owen? Yeah, so it's what? 67, 66 points the gap. Whereas Gecko won compared to Owen finishing in 6th. So that's what, a 17-point difference, meaning that battle for second's closer. The gap being 67, 68-ish points. But that gap needs to be down to 50-ish points in order for Bonkers or Gecko to still keep the fight alive in the championship. And we'll find out if that ends up being the case next week or not. That will be Imola. We race in for Tier 2. But tune in for the rest of the weekend, folks. In RPL here, we will be racing Formula 1 Tier 1 tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. UK time in Canada. Brazil will be for Formula Endurance on Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. UK time. We'll find out what happens there. And, yeah, our driver of the day is Owen. We're going to give it to him. And 2 Red Bulls on podium, just like last time in Zandvoort, and a Ferrari on podium. But this time, instead of Ferrari being P3, they have won the race. And they continue to win in consecutive seasons. And it comes with Gecko, his first Tier 2 win.
Grazie, ragazzi.
And
Forza Ferrari.
there you go. All right. Ryan Searles, JT Gaming 101, signing off for tonight's event. Tune in for the rest of the weekend and next week for Tier 2 in Imola. Have a good night. We'll see you then.